Okay, my name's Gavin Jones from Hartlepool in the northeast. I set off a week, 11 days ago, 12 days ago today actually. I got dropped off in Merthyr Tydwith, just outside Swansea. I'm doing a mental health awareness walk, so I'm about 215 mile in now, 59 miles to get home, raising awareness of mental health and the situation in the country at the minute.
And why have you decided to go from Swansea? Obviously you're going back to your hometown. Yeah. Why Swansea?
That was because back in the 1800s, my great-great-grandparents, they originated from Swansea, to Merthyr Tydwith, and they walked from Swansea to Hartlepool to get work in the dockyards, so obviously there's a personal connection there, and yeah.
And mental health then, it's a big area, and it's talked about, so many, from young people at schools to suicides, so many different areas then. Why have you chosen to raise awareness for mental health?
I suffered mental health for myself for about the last 10 years, and recently I've tried to access some services, took the steps which a lot of people in my situation don't, from the background I come from. I tried to get some help. I've been back and forward from doctors, being told they can't help me on 6 different occasions while I'm in crisis. I was told there's a 2-week turnaround for a mental health appointment, which I'm still waiting for, which was probably 6-7 weeks ago. So I thought, instead of just sat about waiting for things to get worse, I'm going to just get dropped off in Swansea and just started walking back. And also the state of the mental health in Hartlepool at the minute, it's absolutely atrocious, and it's like there's no middle ground, there's no support, there's no nothing. And I think like up and down the country, the people I've spoke to from Shrewsbury, Crewe, Rochdale, I think they're all in the same boat, and things need to change quickly, because we're losing lives on a daily basis, and it's absolutely shocking, and I can't deal with it anymore.
And what's your own perception? As obviously the world's changed quite significantly, but is it that there's a greater demand for mental health, or
I think mental health over the last 15 years has evolved into something completely different, which the people who haven't been through it don't understand anymore. So through social media, through social pressures, a lot has changed, but I don't think the training in the NHS has not changed. I don't think you cannot go to college and learn about mental health, and anyone who tells you they can, tell them to come here and speak to me, and I bet you I can tell them more about mental health than they can tell me. It's evolved in such a way where I think the full system needs re-looking at. Like I'm here now, I've got massive mental health problems. I hear voices and stuff in my head, and I'm still waiting for an appointment. How many people have we lost in that time? It's time something needs to be done about it. If you were sat on a waiting list for the cancer treatment, you'd be straight in there. Mental health is today, and it's now. If someone comes to you for help for mental health, they've took a massive step, and they need help today, not tomorrow.
And I think when we spoke sort of earlier, you were also talking about particularly the problem in your hometown, the problem with suicides. Yeah. And now, it's a relatively sort of small place, but it seems to be way above the national average.
A town of 90,000, it's somewhere, I don't know if it's 2.2% higher than anywhere else in the country per capita, which is absolutely mental, because if you go to that town and you speak to the people in that town, they're great people, but it's one of them towns where people do bottle things up, but even if you do go for help, like my personal experiences, it's just not there. And the people who are helping are community organisations who are self-funded, and they're run into the ground, where there needs to be some sort of middle ground. If the NHS can't cope with it, they need to be backing the community organisations to fill that void. And yep. I'm not even exaggerating, and save lives. Like I've heard of a couple of deaths in the town while I've been here. I'm not having it anymore.
And certainly with like the older age group and suicides, and particularly men, one of the reasons I think is put down to financial troubles. And we now live in a world where I think the cost of living is going through, through the roof.
It's much more complicated than we could ever talk about on the camera now. It's down to it's down to kids, lads not seeing the kids. It's down to substance abusers. But people just look at people like, oh, he's off his head full of drugs. But why that? They're trying to block something out. It's down to circumstance. So when we have been in all the systems, social services, youth offending, probation, prison, mental health services, these services, well, we are forced into by law. You were told you will go and do these things, but on the promise that they're going to make your lives better. So I know 15 people in the town who have been in them services who are now dead. So they're not working. It's not working at all.
And is that because they're not providing the right services, or they've not got the money?
I think the powers to be are that out of touch now. They don't know what the people on the streets want, because they've never been on them streets. If people at the top want to help us people who they're public services, they're here to serve us, not us serve them, they need to come and speak to us. That gap needs bridging between communities and government, and it's just not getting bridged. And like I said to you earlier, in no uncertain terms do I want to start battling people and fight people. I'm here to work with people. I'm here to bridge the gap between communities and government. But don't get me wrong as well, in no uncertain terms, if they don't want to work with us, I will battle them and I will win.
And so the walk, we're in Ripon at the moment then,
Yeah.
we're just on the edge of Ripon.
Aye.
And you're raising awareness then, are you getting much support? I know you said you've
Honestly,
got hopefully a big welcome when you get home.
Every town I've been to, the sport's been unbelievable. I was in Crewe not long ago, and the people there, like, I was having a bad day. Like, I was missing my kids. I was meant to have my kids on the weekend. I was missing my family, and I just walked into this pub, and they just took me in as one of their own. I was like a little baba. They just took us in, and everywhere I've went, it's been the same old story. Like, and people have opened up to me, and now I feel like I've got a responsibility now to follow through on what I've said I'm going to do, and in no uncertain terms, I will do it.
And just talking generally about mental health, you see this on social media, and you see people saying, well, they put a post out saying, well, if anyone needs help, I'm here. But that puts the onus on the person that feels that they've got a problem to come to someone offering the help. And I think it's missing the point. I think we need to be there.
Tim, for me, the days of people saying, like, people need to reach out are over. If you recognise someone's struggling, you need to go and help them. The saying what I hate is, he needs help him. He needs help in a derogatory term. If you can look at someone and say he needs help and you don't help them, then that's on you in my eyes.
But because I suppose it's unique. If you saw someone that was limping down the street, or had a friend that you saw limping, you'd say, what's the matter with your leg, wouldn't you? You know, and you try, and if they said, well, I've tried to get a bit of help to get it mended, then and they didn't get any support, well, you would be straight there.
But if you see someone in the street and they're acting a bit different, they're saying things that don't make sense, they're a bit erratic, what the first thing you do is you get turned over and you go on the other side of the road, when in reality someone should be coming to help that person, because that person's probably at the end of their tether and you don't know what they're ready to do there. And we've lost too many lives, and it's not like a terminal illness where there's nothing you can do. There's a lot we can do, but we all need to band together as communities. We need the government to come and help us. Like, Hartlepool has been left on its own in the dark for far too long, and we deserve better, and we're going to get better, Tim.
And is that partly because almost like there's not seen any hope or any consequence of change?
I don't know what it is. Like, there's no communication between the communities and the people who are meant to be looking after us. There's nothing there. Like, I didn't even know who our MP was before I started this, and that's bad because I always knew who our MPs were. It's just like, people get voted into these jobs, they're getting paid a lot of money, and all we want is someone to come and help us. And if they don't want to help us, give us the means and the resources so we can help ourselves.
So we're in Ripon now then. What's your plans from you moving on to North Allerton way, and then
I'm going to head through Ripon, going to go over the A1 to somewhere over there. I'm going to stop there. My uncle's going to pick me up, take me back over, which will be a bit weird. I'm going to stay with him tonight, and I'm going to head to North Allerton tomorrow, and then back to Hartlepool. Also, along the way, if anyone's in a position to help, I'm raising money for the food banks. I'm raising money for Let's Connect, which is a mental health charity. I'm raising money for my own charity, which is a search and rescue team that searches for people with an intermediate danger to their own lives, which I want to reboot because I failed because I needed to sell my car in at Christmas because I had no money. So we're trying to reboot that as well, try and get some good going.
And that's a charity, isn't it, to help find missing persons?
Yeah,
isn't
search
it?
and rescue team it is.
So is that more than just sort of is that rural and?
At the minute it's failed, it collapsed, because I was still struggling with my mental health when I set it up, and then I was just doing it off my own back. I was earning 45 grand a year as a gas engineer, and I stopped doing that because it didn't fulfil like the goodness I wanted to do, but then obviously there's bills to be paid and stuff like that, so what I'm looking for now is to try and get some funds to get that rebooted, and then obviously depending on what sort of fundage, it'll be in Hartlepool, and then if we've got more money we'll go Teesside, and then if we can do that in Teesside, then we can maybe like do some sort of like roll it out across the country, do some sort of, what do they call it, like what McDonald's is.
Oh, like
franchise,
a franchise, yeah.
Teach people how to do it up and down the country. There's nothing but good positive things that are coming out of Hartlepool. There's nothing coming in, do you know what I mean?
And I think it all needs joining together.
It does needs to be a team effort. Like we vote the government in, and if they don't come and help us, they won't be voted in. Simple as that. Like, I've got big plans for Hartlepool, and if I get Hartlepool right, we've got plans for Crewe as well. Crewe are working with us. We've got people who are wanting to lead that community into a better future. And then Shrewsbury's the same thing. We all need to band together. Let the powers to be come and speak to us. Tell us what their plans are for our future. Just inform us. Do you know what I mean? Just do something rather than nothing.
And if we'll pick up again then, if that's okay. We'll Absolutely. Have a Zoom call or something like
Anything
that
when you've landed back